Hey you guys, and welcome to my video on how to make a study plan for exams. So currently I'm studying for my GCSEs. They're in like a month, so my life's just devoted to them. But obviously, you know, these tips can work for any exam you have, whether they're A-levels, you know, end of year exams at schools, like weird American SATs, I don't know, like these will work for anything, but obviously I'm focused on GCSEs. So usually to make a study plan, I use my bullet journal, and I've made a few bullet journal videos, so I'll link them down below if you want to check those out. But usually people just get confused with the bullet journal. They're like, what if I don't have a bullet journal? What is a bullet journal? You know, can I still study and like pass my GCSEs without a bullet journal? And the answer is yes. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make a study plan on just a sheet of paper, and you can use anything to make a study plan. You can, you know, type on your phone, do it on a sheet of paper. You can use Excel. I sometimes use it on the computer, and today I'm going to be using a sheet of paper, and I'm going to be using a like blank study plan that I made ages ago and that I sometimes use, and I'll be linking that in the description below just in case you want to, you know, look at that, its printable, and in case you're just like at a loss, like what can I use to plan? Well, I've created a blank template you can use if you want to. Right now I'm in the Easter holidays, and I tend to make sure my revision schedule is really rigid over the course of the entire holiday, because even if I don't stick to it perfectly, having a rigid structure really helps me, just guides me through my revision, and it makes sure that I'm using the time most effectively. So personally, I tend to take things week by week. You can plan for the entire holiday at once if you want, but I just find that personally a bit daunting. So the longest length of time I tend to plan for is a week. So the first thing I do is I obviously just write down what week I'm planning for, and then I write down all the subjects that I want to study, and under those I write down all the different goals that I want to achieve in those subjects. I find that having my goals written out is really effective because it helps me work towards those goals, and I just have it in paper what I want to achieve, so I'm more likely to achieve it. So the next thing I do is I just go to the next column and I highlight all the different goals that are priority to me. And prioritising is just really important because sometimes, you know, there's just things that you really don't want to do, but you just know you have to get them done. Just highlighting them just makes sure that that's factored into your planning. And prioritising is really important, especially if you have limited time. Like for me, I know that maths, physics, and I don't know, English language are my strongest exams and the ones I have the least work to do. So I make sure that those exams, like if I don't have enough time in a day to study all my subjects, those are things that I know I can spend a little less time on, I can maybe put to the side, and I know there are certain subjects like maybe, I don't know, Greek, biology, that I need to revise, and those have the most amount of work. So just highlighting that and making it clear to myself in my planning what my priorities are really effective for getting the like best work done. So the next thing I do is I just look at all the days of the week and I think about what days I want to study, because obviously you can't study for like every single day of the holiday, that would just be impossible. Personally, I tend to do about 2 days in a row maximum before I take a day off, and that might not sound like much, but I make sure all my days are really long. So one thing you might want to consider is finding a balance. Do you want to have lots of very short days, or do you want to have fewer revision days but you know, those days are longer? So it's about finding that balance and what works for you. And as I said, personally, I find that doing longer days but doing less of those days is just more effective for me. Okay, so once I've laid out what I want to study and how much time I have to study, I do my daily plans to think about, you know, how I'm going to study it. So I tend to do daily plans the night before when I'm going to study. You know, you could do all your daily plans at once, like you could do a whole week at once, or you could do a few days, but personally I find that reflecting on the kind of last day of work and thinking about what I want to do the next day is the best way to take it. But again, it's about finding what works for you. I go in and I write in each subject I want to study each time, and then when I've finished and I'm happy with that kind of overall schedule, I write in what I want to study in each subject during that half an hour, just so I have a clear kind of like target and goal of what I want to get done. So I'm not just sitting there for 10 minutes going, oh, what shall I do now? It's, you know, giving yourself clear targets, clear structures to follow. And at the bottom, I write down what time I need to wake up, how many hours I'm going to study that day overall, and how many hours of break I'm going to have, just so I can clearly all see that information in one place. And an important thing to consider is how long you want to study each subject for. So some people like to study in long blocks, you know, maybe like an hour and a half for each subject, because they find that doing like half an hour blocks is just too short, because by the time you started you don't have that much time left. but personally I can't study a subject for longer than half an hour without getting really bored, so I split it into half-an-hour blocks. That's my personal tip. So another tip is just to be strategic with your planning. So I tend to sandwich subjects that I really don't want to study and I really don't like in between subjects that I don't mind so much, just because then it's just a bit easier and I have some motivation. You know, I don't want to wake up on a Monday morning and look at my schedule and see I have like 6 subjects in a row that I just really can't be bothered doing, because that's just demotivating. So again, it's just about finding the things that work for you and being strategic with your planning, because that's really important to making sure that, you know, you stick to your plan. If it's a rubbish plan, you're not going to stick to it. And be realistic, like give yourself ample breaks, because otherwise you'll find that if you have no breaks in your schedule, you'll just give yourself breaks and so you won't stick to the schedule. Make sure that you are realistic and find that balance between, you know, having loads of breaks but then having no study time. But then if you have too much study time, then you run the risk of being worn out. So it's finding that balance. I tend to, if I'm doing 6 hours, I tend to have about 2.5 hours of breaks in between with that. I don't know. Again, it's about finding what works for you and being realistic with your planning. So when I finished all that, I stick my schedules onto the wall by my desk, just so when I'm working, I have a constant reminder of what I need to get done, when I need to get it done, how I'm going to get it done, and I'm just constantly keeping myself in check all day. Hopefully you can see how just preparing a clear study plan like this can just give your revision and your studying some kind of structure, and it can just guide you along rather than jumping in at the deep end and just having no clue what you're doing. And there's also something quite rewarding, quite motivating about crossing something off a list. You know, when you finish a half-an-hour study slot and you can just cross something off, it just feels quite good. And when you can take the schedule off the wall at the end of the day and you can see everything's crossed off, and you just know that you've achieved some of your goals, it's really motivating and it's something that can really help you and push you forward. As I keep saying, everyone has different preferences, everyone works different rates, everyone has different abilities and levels and all that jazz. So again, it's about finding what works for you personally and just finding the best kind of structure and studying like schedules for you. But hopefully these were just some general guidelines that you can apply to your own studying, and hopefully they help a bit. As I always say, it's not about sticking to a structure religiously. I don't stick to my schedule religiously at all, but having a schedule is just so important to guide you, and just even if you don't stick to a schedule perfectly, it's better than having no schedule at the end of the day. So if you don't have a schedule, just maybe consider doing one. I just find it helps, especially when you have long study periods like the Easter holiday. You know, there's like loads of days to study there, so you need some kind of structure. Alright, as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment and subscribe. If you have any questions, queries, suggestions, anything, just leave them below. As I said, I'll link to my blank template below, and I'll also link to some of the other study and planning videos that I've done down below, just in case you want to check those out. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Goodbye.